is Bakari Height. I am the co-founder of the MARTA Army in Atlanta, Georgia. Today I'll be presenting on Operation Bus Stop Census. And I'll run through this really quickly because I've seen how 15 minutes really goes by. So for those of you who don't know, MARTA Army is a tactical urbanist nonprofit that myself and others have founded back in 2014 at Transportation Camp South. Essentially what we wanted to do was we wanted to create this group of folks that wanted to empower local residents to improve the transit ridership experience in their own neighborhoods. So at the time, MARTA wasn't doing as well. You know, we were facing budget shortfalls. We wanted to be able to bring the power to better the system into the hands of those who ride it and those who pay for it. So this is one of the ways that we were able to do this. And if you can see in the picture, this is actually a photo of one of the projects that we have done and we've kept over for the past couple of years, which is called Operation Timely Trip. Essentially what we did was we exported GTFS data onto these laminated sheets, and we allowed the users to go and post them up wherever, and this was the project of it. So if you're ever in Atlanta and you see any of these signs, this is a definite MARTA Army project. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, there we go. Why bus stops? So if you're not familiar with the MARTA system, it is a train and bus system. Our heavy rail consists of 48 miles of heavy rail that goes all throughout many neighborhoods in Atlanta as well as the immediate suburbs. But most of the trips are taken by bus. Matter of fact, 45% of all trips taken in MARTA by 2018 were by bus. And fun fact, most of the buses in our system feed into a MARTA station. So it kind of makes the train the center of the system. And then kind of looking back into this past year, 60% of all unlinked passenger boardings on MARTA were by bus. So this is really more of a bus heavy project just because we wanted to give a little bit more focus on the bus as a form of transit, just because it's kind of a forgotten tool, and just because of the stigma of the bus, and especially in places like the South. You know, this is a definite project that we wanted to undertake, and especially on the equity issue, which is another reason for the project that we're presenting on today. But just kind of looking back on the potential of what a bus stop can be, they're everywhere. There are more places where rail can't be, or where rail just probably doesn't serve. They're in front of jobs. They connect you to healthcare, to grocery stores. Probably one of your friends or family live right in front of a bus stop. I know I used to live close to the airport, and there was a bus stop right in front of my house, and I could literally just get on it and go. They also connect to anything. A lot of places can be accessed by the bus. But if you can see in the picture on the right, this is an actual MARTA stop. It doesn't give for a really inviting experience with transit, and it's probably one of the reasons why we created this this operation based off of a chapter in Stephen Higashio's book, Better Buses, Better Cities, where he harped on making transit, and especially the bus trips on transit, a more inviting experience. So as you can see, there's no sidewalks, and the bus stop is covered in bushes. So it really doesn't give for an inviting experience for the user, and especially if the user hasn't used transit. Then there's also the populations where this creates a threat to. Definitely the ADA accessibility of it, women with children, the elderly, and then probably one of the most vulnerable populations, especially within Metro Atlanta, are people of color, where most folks who do ride transit are of a minority group. So a little bit about Operation Bus Stop Census. I kind of gave a little intro for it. It was created last year when MARTA Army hosted Transit Equity Day in Atlanta, thanks to our partners at Labor Network for Sustainability. But we wanted to create a project that, based off of the chapter we read in Better Buses, Better Cities, basically given the fact that we wanted bus stops to be safe, accessible, and dignified for everyone, whether you're just getting there, whether you're transferring from a train, or whether you're using it for the first time. We want it to be an inviting experience. We want you to be able to have as much information to be used as possible for this. And then also, in similar to the census that also went on that same year in 2020, we wanted to be able to collect as much data so we can go to the powers that be and enhance the experience based off of what we've seen. So we wanted to use this as a crowdsourcing opportunity for folks to go in and tell about what's at their bus stop, whether it be their home, their work, anywhere. We want to just get as much information from these bus stops. This on the day, Rosa Parks Day on February 4th, 2020, and we set a goal for surveying 2,500 bus stops by the end of the year. So essentially what we did was we created a website, busstopcensus.com, and it is still available. Now, we ended the program just so we can start cleaning up the data. So, but you can still go in onto the website and see just kind of how we laid it out. And it was similar to the first project that I mentioned of Operation Timely Trip, where there's a huge map and it shows all the bus stops. But we wanted people to go in and record everything at a bus stop. And we listed many questions. For example, is there a crosswalk on the main street? Is there a crosswalk on the side street? Is there adequate sidewalks? Is it ADA accessible? All right, is it well lit? Is there wayfinding? We wanted as much information as possible, so we created as many questions as possible that would help us help the users and help the system reform their service standards for what they do with bus stops. And we also gamified this as well. We handed out prizes and we created a competition out of this of people who can do the most stops. And it really helped us get the word out just by allowing folks to come in at their own leisure and record as many bus stops as they can. And of course, the month after was when the pandemic hit. So it did create a snag in our plans, because one of the points that we wanted people to do was also take pictures of the stops. We wanted as much as the information that went into the survey to match what was actually there at the survey. So we wanted to switch both of the operations to online. Thankfully, Google is a really great breadth source of information for getting out bus stops and doing this Google Street View. So we allowed folks to screenshot the Google Street View of the bus stops, which just gave as much information as if you were there. But we also encourage folks that if they did go out and survey on site, that they social distance that and they respect others as far as giving them 6 feet. But we definitely encourage folks to shelter in place and survey remotely from the comfort of their own homes as well. Essentially, what we wanted to do with the data was we wanted to make it available. These are our stops. We wanted them to be as accessible to everyone as possible. So not only did we want to give the information to MARTA, we wanted to give the information to anyone as possible as far as local governments, because there's also the intersection of infrastructure. As you saw in the earlier picture, if there are no sidewalks, then that creates a point for whomever is in charge of the sidewalks and whoever owns the sidewalks to say that, well, what's going on with putting new sidewalks in? What can we do to get crosswalks or get hawk signals so there would be a safe crossing to this bus stop? We also wanted to give it to mobile app developers. We're currently in conversations with CityMapper on creating more opportunities for people to merge a lot of this data in, as well as with nonprofits. A lot of the folks that we've worked with, such as iAccess Life in partnership with Southern Equity and Georgia Stand Up, and PEDS, which is a pedestrian advocacy group in Atlanta, as well as with our neighborhood planning units, which are a quasi-level government in the city of Atlanta that has a lot of power. And we actually work with one for a community to actually gather a whole report of that neighborhood. So it really helps of getting this data out to as many hands as possible so that they have this power to make change with this, which is essentially what we wanted to do, was influence change so that we could get better bus stops and we could have better quality and better amenities at these stops. But currently right now, we're cleaning the data to prepare final reports, and we should have that by the end of March. We really had a lot of great reception to this, and especially through all the methods that we had for this project. We posted the updates weekly on social media, on our Twitter and our Instagram and our Facebooks. We actually exceeded the goal of 2,500 bus stops around towards the end of December. And added a new goal of doing all the essential routes. So currently right now, MARTA only has half of the bus routes that are actually in service. So we wanted to focus more on the essential routes to actually look at of the main routes that people are taking, which were based off of pre-COVID ridership, and as well as reaching amenities such as grocery stores and urgent care centers and healthcare, of looking at that in the amenities that are available. And we've had over 300 respondents. We're definitely cleaning up all that data. So just going through and just matching people's responses. And on the left, you can see two examples of in-person and virtual events that we've done to where we have gotten folks in. And we've actually learned a lot about a lot of these neighborhoods, and especially on the bottom part, which is the neighborhood that we partnered with as far as doing the report, which they really told us a lot about what was going on within the neighborhood as far as the speeding, as far as the unreported pedestrian incidents, and a lot of the sidewalks which were absent from a lot of these areas where there were bus stops. So it was a wonderful learning experience with a lot of the neighbors, and we're definitely looking forward to continuing these partnerships. So these are just some initial findings that we're releasing as far as us cleaning up the data. On the left are the census shares by county. Definitely we had great respondents in Fulton and DeKalb County, which are two of the main counties within Atlanta. And also Clayton County, which is our newest member, which was also another inspiration for the project, as MARTA is currently working on a bus stop shelter project. So this is definitely going to help them as much. But most of the findings that we're seeing is that most of the stops did not have adequate lighting. Only a few had trash cans, which is another project that we've worked on our website. About almost half of the stops had no crosswalk. So this is a definite issue, and especially because we are a metro that have seen a lot of pedestrian fatalities. And then over half didn't have wayfinding information. So this does create a lot of barriers for folks who don't know about how to get it or don't know how to use the bus, just because there's nowhere that they can find out where they are and navigate themselves. But with a little time left, I will open it up to questions if anyone has any.
Sure. Thank you so much, Bakari. I see a question from Barbara in the chat right now, wondering if you're worried at all that official sources won't feel the data is valid because it was completed by volunteers.
A lot of the projects have been crowdsourced. So, and we have a really wonderful relationship with some folks at MARTA that can vouch for us and that have been working proactively as far as collecting the data. So that's definitely verified. And with most of the screenshots and especially a lot of the data that we're currently cleaning up, we're looking for duplicates, and we're also looking for any kind of roundabout ways of data that may look suspicious or may look like it was just rushed or put incorrectly. So we're also getting a lot of that data and just thumbing through it.